Hi, my name is John Zimmerman, and I'm the Vice President of the Miami Valley Fair Housing Center. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk about assistance animals under the Fair Housing Act and the page that we have on our website about this. So what you do is you go to www.mvfairhousing.com and click on Services Reference. On the left, you'll see a list of words, and close to the bottom it says Assistance Animal Policy. Click on that. The page has two major features. First, as you scroll through the page, you're going to see lots of information on the basics of utilizing an assistance animal or providing a space that a person who is your tenant or resident can have an assistance animal. Second, at the top of the very first page as you open up, there are hyperlinks at the top that take you to two places. One, to documents that aren't on this page, and the other one actually is just a hyperlink to information that is lower on the page. So when you look at the first hyperlink, which is called Guidelines for Housing Providers, when you click that, here's what comes up. In all caps, it says practical guidelines for housing providers and property managers to follow. If you go to the second one, which says guidelines for tenants, it comes to this page, which says practical guidelines for tenants who want or need assistance animals. If you look at all these pages, you're going to find many important tips, both for housing providers to welcome people with disabilities, as well as great tips for residents who own and use assistance animals. So what I'm going to do today is to continue talking about our website. The film that you can see that gives you a deep explanation of the use of service animals is produced by the National Association of Realtors, and we've included it on our YouTube channel. I want housing providers, for example, to look at the training tips that you should train your staff on. I'm going to talk about 4 of the 10 that are on the list. Allowing an assistance animal to accompany the tenants at all times and everywhere on the property except where animals are specifically prohibited, such as the pool. Do not pet or touch an assistance animal. Petting an assistance animal when it's working distracts the animal from the task at hand. Do not feed an assistance animal. Do not deliberately startle an assistance animal. Avoid making noises at the animal, barking and whistling, etc. For owners of assistance animals, there's a section called Animal Care and Supervision. Here's a couple of those tips. The animal must be supervised, and the tenant handler must retain full control of the animal at all times. If the animal is in common areas, it is on a leash, in a carrier, or otherwise in the direct control of the animal owner handler. And I want to make everyone aware that sometimes a person using an assistance animal will have a handler, a family person, take them for a walk or do something like that. So it doesn't have to be just the person with the disability having control of the animal. It could be others in their orbit. Another tip, when in the presence of others, the animal is expected to be well behaved. The tenant is responsible for the proper disposal of animal waste. So to end up today, there are 3 other hyperlinks to governmental guidance on the issue of assistance animals. They are 1, insurance policy restrictions, 2, HUD clarification of the DOJ, Department of Justice, ADA rules, and HUD's assistance animal policy. I'm going to just speak briefly about HUD's policy. HUD's policy clarifies the difference between fair housing and other civil rights laws like the American with Disabilities Act. Here is what the page looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of parts from the section called Purpose right at the top of the page. There are 2 types of assistance animals. One,
service animals, and 2, other trained or untrained animals that do work, perform tasks, provide assistance, and or provide therapeutic emotional support for individuals with disabilities, referred to in this guidance as support animal. So this guidance in the future is just going to say support animal, and that refers to either a trained service animal like a CNI dog or an emotional support animal. The next thing I wanted to note for everyone is this. This guidance provides a set of best practices regarding the type and amount of documentation a housing provider may ask an individual with a disability to provide in support of an accommodation request for a support animal, including documentation of a disability that is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limit at least one major life activity, or a disability-related need for a support animal when the disability or the disability-related need for the animal is not obvious and not known to the housing provider. And so some folks will ask for an accommodation for a support animal, and it's not a CNI dog. You don't know exactly what the animal does, and so you might say to that person, get me documentation from your attorney, from a medical provider, from a peer support group, something like that. And the documentation might come in and it should say something like this. Yes, this client has a disability. That's what you need in order to ask for the accommodation. And 2, this particular animal provides them support and alleviates some symptoms of their emotional disorder. That type of broad general language is what you should expect from a third-party documenter.
Take the time to study what we have online and call us at 937-223-6035 with any questions you have about assistance animals.